Welcome to Shruti Out Loud. Hello. I know we skipped last week, but I am back here. I am back today, and as promised, I am back with an amazing guest, with an amazing topic, and we are going to talk about something that we have never ever discussed on our live sessions before or on our podcast before, and it is something that I was, I had been thinking about really, but I could not sort of, basically find the exact way to talk about this topic. So I am so glad that finally we have somebody today as our guest. So who is going to take up this topic? And I'm very keen on knowing so many things, and I'm pretty sure that even you guys will be a bit curious about the things that we are going to discuss today. So if you guys have any questions, and if your curiosity just sort of claws in, and you want to ask those questions, you want to talk about those questions, so please feel free to share in the comment section below, and we will try and take up as many questions as we can. And now we are just waiting for Anupriya, and he is here, by the way. So without wasting another second, without wasting another minute, let's get into this conversation. Hello, Anupriya. I'm so excited. I was just telling all the, our audience, our current audience and our future audience about how I am so excited about this topic and how I had been thinking about, this topic, but somehow I just could not find a way to, basically work on it. I'm so glad that you agreed, and let's take it ahead with this conversation. So, Anupriya, first of all, I have to thank you for, agreeing to be a part of this episode, for agreeing to be part of Shruti Out Loud. And as we were talking, I told you that the whole idea about Shruti Out Loud is that I just want to create awareness. I want to sort of, help people find a way of life, find a way to follow their passions, or maybe just, because there is so much curiosity in this world, and sometimes, books are there, everything is there, but this conversation, I think it just means something way much more than that. So thank you for agreeing to be a part of this.
Yeah, Shruti, I mean, I'm really excited. I've been following your podcast and all. It's really fascinating. And I'm also, I'm really honored that you thought it would be interesting to talk to me about this. As you know, yeah, I've been talking a lot about mythology on the thing. So definitely, I think that, as you said about, people being curious and at the same time, bringing positivity and hope in the world. I do believe that, mythologies have a lot to offer there, and they do shape a
Uh-huh.
lot of current reality. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, without wasting another second, I want to basically say our topic out loud so people know why we are here. So, guys, today we are going to discuss on myths reflecting modern realities. And Anupriya has picked up some amazing topics. And I am just going to be a moderator, and, I'm just going to ask the right question at the right time, and I let him speak most of the time. So, Anupriya, let's quickly, start off this conversation. And I want to ask you that who is Anupriya, and what is your background, and where do you come from? Basically, who are you? So please go ahead and take up the stage.
Uh, I mean, who are you is a very difficult question because, I think we have different layers, right, to ourselves. We
Absolutely.
identify ourselves with the families and our friends, and we have our own existential things. But yeah, just to
Absolutely.
talk about myself. So I have been someone, I mean, I have always been a seeker, someone who loves, trying to find meaning in things. Now, the way I go about it is through storytelling. I have always loved storytelling. Right
Okay.
from like whether it's just interesting pop culture references to obviously the myths itself, and I think even in my work, like in the last 10 years of my work experience itself, I've been always trying to see my trying to attach myself with things that involve applying storytelling. So I've got to
Okay.
I've got to work as a storyboard artist, I've got to work as a graphic designer, um, I've got to work as a content strategist. Luckily to have worked with a lot of in an ad agency, so I got to work with interesting brands where I
Right.
try to bring storytelling in their brand experiences, whether it's about a platform of a website or a particular product itself. But at the same
Right.
time, at the same time, trying to always figure out like what how we can improve the sense of storytelling to help make a better
Right.
experience. Currently, I'm working as
Absolutely.
a design lead in Think Design, which is a user experience company. So I help make products,
Mhm.
website apps, and all for different businesses and all. But in terms of
Right.
mythology, my interest in mythology, I guess it's come from the beginning. Like since I have, since I was a small child, it was basically because of my granddad. The thing
Mhm.
was he was someone who used to love telling stories. He was very well read,
Okay.
and amongst all my my cousins and my brother and everyone, I think I was the one who used to love just be complete awe when he's talking about the stories, especially the thing. I think he had a very peculiar way of telling the right stories at the right time because as a
Okay.
child, I mean, obviously there are things I didn't understand, but when
Right.
he was telling a few stories, he would always know how to incite my curiosity. And as someone, I've
Okay.
been a curious person. I love learning, and I just want an excuse to learn things.
Right.
That type of storytelling, telling me myths, telling me a story, and then telling me a backstory later on, or just telling me something
Um,
which is, like a right and wrong versus a very morally gray stories. Right when I started growing up, I think had a different
mhm.
impact. I mean, that's where I started, experiencing mythology. I mean, the fun of
Mm.
mythology. But then
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
like everyone else, I moved on, and I think mythology just became something of a children's story. And my reintroduction
Uh-huh.
came almost 6 years back when I was doing my
Okay.
post graduation in Srishti Design School. That's where
Okay.
I kind of had a relearning because obviously I started looking at it as a literature, but I also was looking at it. I think the one basic shift that happened for me, right, was instead of
Mm.
looking at mythology as like, when we look at the stories and we see like, oh my God, how could Ram do this to Sita? That's a reaction we have when we listen to the stories.
Right.
We have
Mhm.
an emotional reaction to the character's actions, right? And I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
when I was a small child, I had that reaction too. I mean, I still remember there was a sort of a diorama I saw with my granddad where
Mhm.
there's a Ram figure killing a monkey.
Mhm.
And I had a very sort of a reaction that, Ram is killing Hanuman. And,
Mhm.
that granddad is like, that's not Hanuman, that's Vali. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
he gave me the story of Vali. And I remember having sort of this is like, I must have been like 6 to 7 years old. And
Yeah.
I remember having a very sort of a crisis that, wait, I thought monkeys are the good guys. Then what happened here?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
exactly, I think I went, my entire teenage life, this thing I went through this thing that, oh my God, I started picking out stories from mythology, which I was trying to use as a way to prove that, look how what gods can do, I mean, in a very atheistic tendency of trying to show that myths show that, gods can be very cruel or this sort of a thing. And then in
Yeah.
Srishti, I kind of shifted that gear that instead of looking at it as like, why did a god do this in the
Mhm.
story? Why did the
Mhm.
author decide to focus on this aspect of a person he's revering as the Maryada
Absolutely.
Purushottam? If this is a
Right.
character, why
Absolutely.
is he a scholar? And I think that shift,
Yeah.
right, started looking from just a person engaging in the story to looking at it from a
Mhm.
mythologist lens, I think
Uh-huh.
shifted my thing. And then I started like, accepting contradiction in the narrative and all. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was the thing. Along with that, I started creating my own myths and my own fictional world because of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones influences and all. So that's something I love doing. Uh,
Absolutely.
so
Please
yeah,
say that, Harry Potter was also an influence for you.
definitely, definitely. Harry Potter was the first.
I'm so glad.
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I am so glad that you said that, that's because my world really revolves around all the stories that have been created in that world. Like, that is my
Go to
alternate reality, to be very honest.
exactly. I think that is the first book that we all engage with. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And okay, so after this, initial introduction, I have to say a few things. That first of all, I am so, the way you talk, the enthusiasm is completely dripping out of each word that is coming out of your mouth. And I am so glad that, possibly I'm just talking to the right person about this topic, that you are the person because, sometimes the topic that you are really talking about, and if the enthusiasm is lacking, then it's not really, it's not really right there. So I'm so glad that, you're very enthusiastic in the way you are narrating how it all started for you. You had a lovely childhood, hearing to all those stories and all of that, and actually questioning all of those questions at the right time. Because to be very honest, as a kid, when I heard all those stories, because obviously, all our childhood has been sort of, yeah, we all have been there. But to be very honest, I never questioned those things. So now, and when you were speaking, I was thinking, why did I never think about that? That's so true. That there's this like Sri Ram and उनका जैसे character पूरा का पूरा ऐसे बनाया हुआ है, and the way we see him, and then obviously there is some this thing which is a little off from who he is. But I never questioned that. So I'm so glad that you did, and that's why this discussion is going to be so amazing.
Yeah, I
And
think
the next,
because I was compared to Ram a lot. My brother is was childhood when he was a very naughty person, and I was a quite obedient person. So I
okay,
think there are a lot of references made within my family that you're supposed to be like Ram, and he's supposed to be like Lakshman. And I think
uh-huh.
for me that also became a space where when you compare to a character very often, or you're also told that when you're not behaving like a certain character. I mean, my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever me and my brother were fighting, they're like, "Are you guys trying to behaving like Sugriv Wali instead of Ram and Lakshman?" And
Oh,
I mean, you imagine
wow.
that kind of statement still
Yeah.
happens. So I definitely think that had an impact on me.
Absolutely. So, Anupriya, I have to ask you this thing that at any point of time during your childhood, obviously, all these references were coming in, but within your heart, did you ever feel like, okay, you know what, I am this? Did that ever happen? That within yourself, you were like, हाँ यार, मैंने तो ये मान लिया है कि मैं ये हूँ. तो ऐसा कभी did that moment ever come for you?
So do you mean it in I'm like that with a certain character, with a particular character, or just like what I believe, what myths are? That's in what sense do you mean?
As in कि जैसे अगर बचपन में you've heard so much about श्री राम, तो ऐसा कभी ऐसा point आया कि you started thinking that maybe I am one of the versions of श्री राम. ऐसा कभी हुआ कि ऐसा सोचा कि हाँ maybe ये मेरे इस युग में मैं वो बन के आया हूँ. वो कभी भी ऐसा हुआ, ऐसा moment आया?
I mean, so there was an interesting story, like in my maybe Ram, I guess, when I was a small child. I think I may have this thing. I mean, there are photos of me being dressed up like Krishna and all. So I'm pretty sure I must have got that in my head. But I remember like during my atheistic, like as an atheist, I mean, being that phase where you're trying to prove, religion is all wrong with mythology. I think one of
Right,
my
right.
all kind of pointed that out, like, oh my God, you're this thing, this is so, I mean, you're using mythology against mythology. And I think I felt like I may be the Kalki in the generation, the 10th avatar of Vishnu, where like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
just trying to prove something. But not in a, I think as a childhood, I think I loved embodying characters. I mean, I remember dressing up like
Uh-huh.
Superman a lot to, I loved Hanuman. I mean, this thing, I mean, I think
Okay.
was one of my favorite gods and this thing. But it was always like a child's play, like, where I would embody a god and
Yeah.
think like a god sort of a thing. So that was always there.
All
Yeah.
right. Wow. So, actually, I think I am going to confess something here, which obviously not a lot of people know, maybe like two or three in my whole life. But I think because, we are having this conversation, so I feel safe enough to, say it out loud. So as a kid, I am telling you very honestly, I used to think that, I am possibly a version of Sherawali Mata. And I was convinced. I am not kidding. I was convinced, and I wasn't. I think, and that's. I was very young. I think it was in nursery or KG, and that's very young. But I
Hmm.
remember, going to school and telling all my friends to just sit in front of me, and then I would just sit like this. I used to do that. I am not kidding, and I don't know if I should be embarrassed of it, but I think yeah, maybe this is the right time when
Has
it's
someone
like sort of my what?
has someone disproven the fact that you are not Shiromani Mata? I mean, has someone disproven it? If not, then maybe you
No,
are. I mean, how do you know?
no, they haven't. So, I'm pretty much convinced about that अभी भी, लेकिन I'm just ठीक है अभी इसको थोड़ा सा ना थोड़ा faded
Yes.
उसमें बैकग्राउंड में रखते हैं इसको ज्यादा बाहर नहीं आने देते बट एज अ किड आई हैव डन दैट सो मच अभी जैसे मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा ना फिर मुझे याद आया कि यार I used to do that as a kid, I used to be that, like, मैं शेरा वाली माता मैं ही हूँ मुझे नहीं पता तुम क्या हो लेकिन मैं तो शेरा वाली माता हूँ so yeah, I think somehow ये सारी चीजें जो होती हैं they sort of they are within you, but I think what has really happened with me personally is that as you are growing up you sort of एक distance आ गया बहुत बड़ा distance आ गया where I lost touch with all of these things. So now through you possibly I am going to build that bridge, and I'm pretty sure that it is going to help me a lot also to sort of, connect with that old self of myself. And if that makes any sense, बस ये ना हो कि कल उठ के फिर मैं सुबह उठ के फिर ये बोलने लगूं कि हाँ मैं शेरावाली माता हूँ. I really hope वो ना हो, but बाकी everything I think बाकी ठीक है, बाकी सब handle हो जाएगा.
Yeah, I would love to help out in that part. And, honestly, if I can convince you you're Shrivalli Mata, I think my work is done, by the end of this.
I know, pretty much. That's really amazing. So, okay, so after that, what I really wanted to talk about is that, so throughout your career, you have sort of found a way to work around this storytelling thing that you have, that everything that you have done, every job that you have done, somehow you have found a way to narrate the stories. And I think that's absolutely amazing that, you have kept your passion alive in whichever way it was possible, in whichever job it was possible, you just did it. So that's really good. That's absolutely admirable.
I hope to continue doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Anupriya, now what I want to ask you is that, you have told us a bit about your background. So I want to ask you that now I have seen you doing a lot of live sessions. Like I have been following you and, you are doing some pretty amazing things. So how did you finally reach this point where you thought that, okay, you know what, I need to, not really need to, I want to put my thoughts out there and possibly, it will reach right people and maybe somebody out there wants to listen to these things. So how did you reach at this point where we are right now, where, you are my guest and we are talking about this topic?
Oh, so I think the critical mass of coming from a passive consumer of mythology to wanting to create it, I would definitely credit a lot to Cobalt Blue, because I think when I got in touch with them in 2018, I attended one of their walks and talks, and I mean I would say that in 2018 was a year where I was having a sort of a existential crisis. I left my job, I had moved back home, and I think I was trying to figure out what I'm interested in. One of the things I was doing was visiting a lot of museums, and this thing I was even doing a lot of story writing and all, whether professionally or just on my own. I was doing both the things because I knew that I'm interested in mythology. I just did not know how to give an output of it. Cobalt Blue was a place where having met them and obviously getting to meet Sandeep and Ruchi and Divyansh, by the way, his energy was something that just reverberated and just excited me from all this thing. And the conversations with them definitely was very interesting. I helped out, volunteered with many of their talks and things, which just became like a space for me to learn about these things. But I think the biggest thing with getting to meet them was this idea that if you have knowledge, why not share it, right? I mean, why not do that? Because I think I came from this perspective that I don't know enough to share with people. I mean, meant only for these scholarly people sort of a thing. But in the sessions and all, times, when I would help out, or I would just think, I would even help out with content and all a little bit, wherever. Given the reaction and all, that was the big thing where that change came in. But again, it was always helping them out. I think it was just a few months back in the lockdown where, Ruchi had asked that, can you come on a live stream and just talk about mythology? And it was an interesting session. We talked about disasters and mythology. But the next day she said that, you have some interesting stories. Why don't you take up your own talk? And that's where Mythematical was born, where I started doing that. And I wanted to move beyond certain things, where I wanted to move beyond talking about the obvious stories. I also think that we Indians tend to think about the Indian mythology a little more, and we don't look at the other mythologies. But I do feel that the appreciation for your own mythology may come when you look at outside. It's like I keep talking about the food. You'll enjoy your, we all have a favorite cuisine, and the only way to do that is to try out different food and then come back to your own thing. And it's okay to have a favorite cuisine. You need to look out there.
Absolutely.
So that was the idea that came this thing, and that's where I'm interested in.
Wow, that's really, that's absolutely cool that you just went ahead with it. You're like, okay, yeah, let's just go ahead with it, and let's start talking about it, because that's the first step that I think you just have to take, and you have taken that. So that's amazing. So, okay, so I have to ask you one more question here, coming from what we are talking right now. So are you planning to possibly maybe, come up with a book of yours? Like, can we expect that in sometime in few years or wherever? Because, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, wait. I think it would be amazing. I haven't thought about. I'll be honest. I'm not tied to a particular medium. I mean, I am. Obviously, I do primarily do writing, but thanks to like Ubuntu, the question that why don't you do live streams? And I was not comfortable with doing this thing, but I did it. But I always
Right.
think of idea. So, example, if you're saying, writing a book, it'll be based on like if
Mhm.
story or the concepts. Because I also like exploring what the concepts are about behind the myths, not just the stories. If those are best explored
Right.
by a book, I'll definitely do a book. But I definitely see myself doing a lot of blogs and all, which may become like,
Definitely.
if you publish them and, they can become a book by itself.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would
definitely.
be really good. That would be so amazing to have such, because I also think that, what has really happened is that during our childhood, all of these stories were happening, but there was no, there was nothing really concrete to fall back on. Like, and especially in these days, kids have lost that touch completely. हमारे time पे at least there was like Panchtantra and वो छोटी comic books होती थी. Like all of those things were still there, but right now nothing of that sort exists. And possibly, इसीलिए even our generation has lost that touch, and the current generation, they have completely lost. Like there is no touch, to be very honest. Lose करने का तो बात तब आएगा ना जब कुछ होगा. But I think,
Yeah,
yeah, something like this work in a really beautiful way, and I think that's the need of the hour right now. So I am totally with you on this. Whenever you decide to, maybe
definitely. Yeah.
uh, yeah, give your blogs the shape of the book, I will be like, oh yay, that's happening.
Definitely. I'll do that thing. Yeah, I like what you said about the young. The younger generations are sometimes losing it. I would want to add out that one of the things I feel, mythology is being lost out when we say millennials or a younger generation. This thing. It's also because of the way people treat mythology. There's a sense of reverence. There's a sense of putting. Like don't touch it. It's all pure sort of a thing.
Right,
Idea of
right,
differentiate between respecting something and revering something. If you respect something, you will play around with it. You will actually touch it. You will try to retell it, and you will show your love to
right,
this thing. This is what I mean. Tulsidas did with Ramayan to make it Ramcharitamanas, or I mean, we have different versions, right? There is a sense
right,
of love
right.
done by retelling. And I feel that maybe because of the political climate, it's also because it's many mythologies tend to be a little problematic. I mean, think about it. Many stories, they tend to position, it's very male centric gaze where the women are just related to the man, or they're just good enough for the thing, and very few stories
Right.
where women are existing for their own thing. So then you have people in our generation, in the younger generation, feel a little disconnected. I mean, why would they want to listen to a version where like a particular character is not more than anything about her beauty or something else? What about
Absolutely.
who are like who may not be ascribing to certain gender norms and sort of a thing? Where do they go to? So I also feel
Right.
that one of the things I want to make a difference is create stories which are empowering to a lot more people, which are inclusive to a lot more people, without demonizing
Hmm.
something else down. That's something I'm very interested in.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. That's so amazing. That's really good because, yes, that happens that sometimes people feel left out, and that's why they just like it, ठीक है यार, I cannot basically connect with this. So क्यों पढूं मैं या फिर क्यों, why should I just, go ahead with it? And they're like ठीक है यार छोड़ो, ये मेरे मतलब का नहीं है. So that's a really good way of sort of, connect, making that, basically creating that bridge कि ठीक है यार ऐसा नहीं है, it's not like that. And सबके लिए कुछ 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 है.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, so let's go to our next question on that note. Um, okay, so Anupriya, what does the word myth mean to you? Like, what, so what it really means according to you, and how do you define it, and how do you think it has really changed from what it used to be and what it is right now?
Sure. So, before I talk about what it means to me, I think I just want to give you a little bit of a brief history of the word myth, and I think why the connotations of what myth means actually happens. So, I mean, if you trace back
Right.
to history, obviously we don't know the tracing of history. We kind of find it out. The word myth comes from the earliest tracing of the word has come from the Greek word mythos. Okay, the Greeks
Mhm.
initially used the word mythos to say speech, to say anything that is anything that is spoken or a narrative, right? That's where the word comes
Okay.
mythos from. As opposed to logos. Logos is basically a word to talk about reasoning. Anything that you think, the thing. So think of you know reasoning. That's where the thing comes from. Now, this is what the thing
Okay.
was. Now, even in Greeks, this went through evolutions where if Aristotelian times defined it in a certain way, this thing, there was this a person named Euhemerus, who was basically a philosopher who talked about the idea that myths are nothing but distorted historical facts. This is around 300 BC, 320 BC, sort of a thing. That's where this concept came, where
Okay.
like when the Greeks would, do the plays, right, in their amphitheaters and all, they had the freedom to take the stories and reinterpret them and do that. That's where that openness of changing the stories came from, whatever they had heard.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
because they were doing this is where the word, instead of speech, it became stories. That's where the story things can come in. Now, fast forward,
Okay.
obviously, to the 5th century and all, it started getting a word in English. English started using the word myth and mythology. Mythology became the study or the collection of, myths itself, and there
Okay.
were a lot of philosophers and all who would just compile it and they would keep it and they will be called mythographers, so that's where the term came in. Okay. Cut
Okay.
forward to 19th century. Imagine this is when
Hmm.
colonial times are happening, which is where the word mythology started taking a more of a scholarly word, where it became like a
Okay.
collection of stories and a collection of stories of civilizations, of certain civilization. And it was already from the 5th century itself, the word mythology was always associated with Greco-Roman mythology, because that is what classical mythology. We still use the word classical
Right.
mythology
Right.
to talk about Greeks and Romans, sort of a thing.
Right.
But
Right.
the colonial age, this thing, the Britishers and the basically colonial powers, they were discovering a new
Hmm.
land. They were discovering new stories, right? And
Hmm.
obviously,
Hmm.
their template. Now they had two templates, right? They had the template of the Greco-Romans, the stories, and they had their own biblical stories. And they didn't consider Bible
Uh-huh.
in mythology. I mean, how can Bible be
Hmm.
Bible? It's the gospel
Hmm.
truth, And that's the thing about mythology.
Yeah.
It's always the truth to the people. This thing. That's why people have a problem with the word mythology. And that's the problem, because
Right.
the colonial powers were using the word mythology. They were trying to club everything up, based on, oh, okay, so we see that, these guys also have a story of the flood, which is similar to this story. So they must be also having a thing. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
here's where the word started becoming about false stories, or the idea that they believe this. This is what is a believed story, and
Okay.
the thing.
Okay.
And 20th century, there were scholars, obviously like Mercy Ecklard and Levi Strauss and all, who started talking about comparative mythology, because suddenly, the Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud had brought this
Hmm.
idea that Carl Jung especially used mythology to talk about that mythology is
Hmm.
nothing but archetypes in our head. These cultural imprints. So he started using these trickster or hero and all these things to explain certain recesses of our minds. I mean, suddenly
Hmm.
became a universal psychological thing. And obviously, there were people who opposed that also. They were like, no, mythology is this. They approached it in a very linguistic and an anthropological way, that mythology explains something about a society. So in 80s and the
Hmm.
thing, people who were using mythology to understand a society. You had Mercy
Hmm.
Eckland looking at mythology as this idea that there is a sacredness. So he differentiated mythology from legends. Mythology have this sacredness, this need to return back
Yeah.
to pure. Okay. Then came
Right.
Campbell
Right.
to talk about that, this is a personal thing. It's a thing that, every, not only civilizations go for it, but it's something that we ascribe to, the idea of a hero's journey, that everyone wants to go through a hero's journey, or they want to be close to the hero. And that's where we started
Right.
coming in. Alongside,
Hmm.
the funny thing is, in the Sanskrit, right? I mean, especially in this thing, the word mithyavat. Okay, mithyavat is a word that has been used in Hinduism and Jainism. Okay, so
Hmm.
the word mithya, this thing, mithya, comes from the idea of false, or illusion, the Maya. And
Hmm.
in Hindu
Mythology.
philosophy, the myth is, mithya. Mithya is something
Okay.
that is based on illusion. That is something that is to be dispelled. And that when you have the Brahman, when you have
Hmm.
the knowledge, that is when mithya goes away. So the problem what has
Okay.
happened is, in the current climate, and this thing, a lot of people, they associate that, ki mythology comes from the word mythia, and that's why they get very offended when you club, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all into this thing. Okay, and that's another thing. Like,
Right.
our scriptures never use these. The Puranas and all were used. Puranas were basically stories, right? They were based on stories and philosophies and sort of a thing. The itihas, the word itihas, also was used by the idea there are only like two itihasas, basically Ramayana and Mahabharata, because itihas was the word itihasa, which meant as it was. It was any scripture that was written by the author while living in the same time was considered itihas, and that's why Ramayana and Mahabharata started getting precedence, because the two this thing the Ramayana and Vyasa's Mahabharata became known as itihas, and they became very important. But when the Britishers had come in, and because in the biblical template of books and that what is your secret book and all, I think we reacted back. I mean, as Indians and all, we reacted back like, oh, we have this thing, and we have this idea where this is, Gita is a book sort of a thing, and we kind of pushed ourselves to, fit into certain, biblical narratives and all. The idea of a God and everything. I mean, our philosophy had this many, many versions. The idea of multiple gods, one God. There's a whole history behind, like how the gods also evolved. I mean, we didn't have the concept of gods in a certain way. We had different things. So that's how we have come to, and I think that's where the word myth has taken this idea of like anything is a false narrative because of these clashes of the Indian mythia and the modern word of myth. Okay, but this thing, I mean, the way I want to be inclusive, I think that we need to redefine the word myth. Okay, because it just becomes very confusing to talk about myth only in terms of Greek, Romans, and Norse mythology. Those are myths, but Indian mythology is not a myth. And I'm like, I get a little like, what is the purpose of it? Why are we trying to hide from it? So if we take myth, I have definition of myths for that reason, and that's what I say. There's no right answer, but in fact, I believe that the myths can work at three levels. So myths can either be a transgenerational truth, okay, that defy the test of times, okay. So they are something that is passed on, sort of a thing. They're either social stories that have some sort of and supernatural significance, okay. So sacred stories, because they can have, and the last one, they can be collective experiences that completely, evade any sort of empirical data. They cannot be fit into a certain thing. We cannot have that. Now, what you choose between the three things, it's up to you. And I think that's the beauty of myths. Myths allow that. You can take them as just stories which have like a cool, fun action. You can take them as analogies. But the thing is, if you are taking it, you need to acknowledge that that's not how it's always been used. And the idea of a cult, the translation truth is the fact that people have been using myths to pass some ideas of their culture, and people unpack it in a different way. We unpack it and then we define it. And if you don't unpack, don't unpack it, you pass it on to the next generation. They'll unpack it, and they'll have their own ideas about it. So that is how I think I think about myths.
Wow, that, and really thank you. I have to thank you for taking us back to exactly how it all started. And somebody here has also commented, thanking you about for talking about mithya and itihas. And honestly, even I did not know how this word itihas has come into being and what it really means. So I have to personally thank you also that, thank you for taking us back there and helping us out to understand that what exactly it is and how we can sort of, take it ahead. So on that note, let's take up our next question.
Sure.
So, okay, so our next question is, Anupriya, why do myths persist? Like, why does it happen?
So, I mean, a short answer is a simple thing is that myths persist because there are people who believe in it, okay? And so there are two aspects to it. One is that they believe in it. So when you have someone believing in something, it's easier to pass it on, okay? I mean, that's why, like, whatever myths, and there is also a concept called mytheme. Mytheme is basically the smallest unit of a myth. So if you notice any story you have listened to in myths and sort of a thing, there are certain things that will never change. Like in Ramayana, there's where you will have different characters or different renditions, but the idea of Sita getting kidnapped is always there, right? I mean, suddenly, like if you change this story to Ram getting kidnapped, people will not even look at it as Ramayana then, right?
Absolutely.
Which is a word mytheme that has been there. So again, I mean, this is just a sort of an academical word used to explain that. But I believe that mythemes is what is that one thing that is passed on before a readaptation and a retelling happens. Okay, and I think that to take a story that has been culturally floating around and take some elements and you pass it on, that's one thing that gets passed on. Second of all, what allows for myths to pass on more than anything else is the fact that they are always experientially evolving. They're by their very nature, they are like trying to evolve. They're not this thing. They no one has a copyright on myths completely. as compared to
Right.
other stories. Think about the new new movies and all. There's always a copyright issue if someone is taking it up, and because of that, the it becomes something that it's not touchable. It's not this thing. And if you look at history, I mean,
Right.
just not a current climate, myths have always been approached this thing. I mean, the whole reason we had Vedas and then moved into Puranas is because the classes, this thing, the Vedic period, a lot of the priests and all, they were trying to hold on to the Vedas as like okay, something that was esoteric. It was something only meant for certain classes. Well, and people
Right.
did.
Right. Right.
The Puranas became a way to make them consumable in some story form. So philosophies and all the ideas of karma, dharma, and all became more easier to digest in Puranas, right? And then the
Right.
idea of
Right.
myths also have like I mean their artifacts and all, temples and all, getting people to get curious, getting people to talk about it. Most of the stories we
Yeah.
hear about mythologies also come from different different areas which just add to the narrative. The main story is there, and then you hear these regional stories of someone doing something
Yeah.
that is ascribed to it.
Right.
Why did they do that? It was a way to have a culturally participatory thing. And I think that's what the myths have survived, because they allow for that. They allow for that, and when something sticks, it sticks for a long time, and then people think that that's
Yeah.
actually the truth that was always there. So yeah,
Right.
that's
Absolutely. Actually, talking about this, it just made me a bit, keen on the fact that the stories, the myths that we know now, what if, there was a way of, possibly going back and reading or listening to the very first version? I mean, I am very curious about that, just to see that how many differences there might be, or what are those points that are actually just they have been passed on like exactly the way they have been, like thak 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 thak, the way they were, they were the way they are right now. And then the fact that उस टाइम पे ये चीजें थी जो ऐसी थी और ये चीजें अब हैं जो बदल गई हैं. So that would be really अमेजिंग अगर वो ऐसा कुछ हो पाता कि कुछ मिथ्स के बारे में हम ऐसा एग्जैक्टली जो एकदम फर्स्ट वर्जन जो आया था वो अगर पता चल पाता. इट वुड बी वेरी, like, I am very curious about it
to get,
now.
I think it's a really exciting thing, and I would definitely love that time traveling. But you may also get disappointed at times, because what will happen is you may go back to a time, and you may figure out that this
Right.
story of this entire god and all was based on a tribal king who just the story may glorified him, but this was just a tribal war happening between
Absolutely.
clans, sort of a thing, and this happened. So I think what will happen is either you will come to, I mean, either you go to a mythical time and you'll come to this parallel world where there were actually monkeys flying around and all, or you'll come back to a time
Right.
where
Right.
these tribal kings were there, and there was this one storyteller who just like would write a very interesting, fascinating version of it, and then everyone be like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's amazing." So you may have both sort of a
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. To be very honest, I have this dream, I won't lie, that the way for me, Harry Potter is everything. Like, it is my everything. I'm not even kidding. So this thought really makes me very happy that maybe, 100 or maybe 200 years down the line, maybe, when something has happened and nobody exists, and, these are just books, and somebody like a new species or whatever, they just find these Harry Potter books, and for them they will be like, oh my god, and suddenly Harry Potter will become a new god.
You
Like, I absolutely, that can happen, because the way J.K. Rowling has written all of that, yes, he can be considered a god. He definitely can be. Oh my god, that the way we talk about Lord Ram,
huh?
there is a possibility that people might talk about Harry Potter that way, like, not to offend anyone in no way, but yeah, these are the qualities that you look for in a hero, and that's exactly, I think, how somehow they work.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. In fact, if you think about it, look at the modern superheroes, right? I mean, if right now, imagine the civilization goes extinct and we have these three things and all, and like, aliens come and they find
Yeah.
artifacts. They go Comic Con and they see everyone dressing up like Superman, or everyone dressing up like Batman. They will be convinced that these guys used to worship Superman and Batman, and they were this thing. They'll
Right.
think the rendition, the stories and all came out based on the reverence sort of a thing. I mean, what is the difference exactly? A
Right.
fan like us going for movies or seeing the amount of money we spent on this. That's how it is, right? So they
Honestly,
want.
just a second, I cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry,
I'll
please.
just add you back. Just a second, yeah.
Yeah.
And we will just add him back. I think this conversation is going absolutely amazing. Guys, if you have any questions, please type them down there because I am asking all of my questions. So if you guys have any questions, ask them. So yes, Anupriya, please continue. I'm sorry, I just lost
Yeah, no,
you.
no. I was
Yeah,
just saying that like you're completely right about the deification of like this thing Harry Potter or other stories and all is very likely
yeah, absolutely.
about the only difference now is that we have so much of access to information, we have so much documentation happening that it's very unlikely to happen. Like if 500 generations now they will have access to a social media and be like, no, that wasn't a
Right.
god, it was actually a book.
Yeah,
But I do feel that
yeah,
if a cataclysmic event happens where like everything is destroyed, there's no human, there's no write up to say that it was just a book or this was,
right.
people will definitely believe that. I mean, the way we act towards superheroes or the books and the way you're talking about Harry Potter's everything. Imagine like that's how that's the same reverence what Mirabai was probably talking that had for Krishna. I mean, who's to say that that is more devotional than the way we are talking about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, it's very. I am absolutely loving this conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take up our next question. Okay, so I next I want to ask you. So Anupriya, do you have a personal story? Maybe something like you have shared a few in the very beginning, but is there anything that possibly you would want to share a personal connection, a personal story, something that inspired you, or something that it's absolutely right there? Is there anything like that
So
in
I
connection with the myth, your life?
it's definitely. I think I mean, every story has a this thing, and as I told you about the whole Ramayana, the change itself, right? Where the story
Uh-huh.
started changing from like how could a god do this to why is there sort of a thing. I think I have had a different look for different stories altogether. Currently, I think one of the biggest things I've started realizing is I'm looking at like stories from different point of views. I'm also trying to come up with retellings for different point of views because I'm very interested in trying to think like why would this character act in a certain way in this situation. I
Hmm.
also think that one of the connections I think I've always had with myths is that recently, like I did a seminar where I was talking about design lessons from mythology. Okay, where I used like mythology to talk about what you can learn from design. And there was this story of Prometheus. Prometheus who stole the fire, defied the god,
Right.
and came back sort of thing. And then there
Hmm.
was also a story from the book of Job, which is the biblical story where Job was a really nice guy, and
Hmm.
he never cursed God, and God and Satan decided to have this sort of a bet that he's definitely going to curse him if you try to punish him, if you inflict pain on him. Okay, and that's where the
Okay.
problem
Okay.
happens. Finally, like everyone's like, you must have done something wrong, and he's like, no, I haven't done something
Mhm.
wrong. Ultimately, he screams at the gods. He screams at the thing that "Okay, why are you doing this? Cursed is the day where I was born." He
Right.
does that, right? And
Right.
at the same time, like the god comes down, and the thing is, it God never explains him why he did it. He just tells him, "Who were you there when I created the universe? Were you there when I created the fish and the this thing? Were you there when I created the stars? Who were the sort of?" He asks these rhetorical questions, and
Hmm.
I think Job is really humbled. Okay, and I don't know. I
Hmm.
think like, the personal connection for me, this story had this thing is that when I started realizing that these stories, right? I mean, we go through this on a daily basis. The clients never tell us, their entire business and all. And like, if we have this, like, why are they giving us more work or they're not giving us enough time and all? Because we
Right.
don't have the full perception. We don't have the full perspective
Right.
of what, they are doing, what the amount they're handling sort of a thing. Yes, I mean, there is a
Right.
give and take also, but the story itself made me feel like, oh my God, like, we are Job in like in our offices. But at the same time, Prometheus story, the idea of defying a god made me feel like as designers or as as employees, we need to defy the norms also. We need to sometimes do it even if it means pain for us, because Prometheus was
Right.
finally hung on a cliff and had his liver being eaten by a vulture. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's the price of rebellion. Now you decide when you need to be Job, when do you need to be like, so that's the thing that I definitely felt. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. And, I absolutely love these sessions where, I ask these questions and it's just fun. I absolutely love them. So, okay. So, anyway, going on, next question on that note. Okay. So, Anupriya, could you maybe give us like the reference you have just given? Could you maybe give us some more references to understand the topic a bit more, in a bit more elaborate way, maybe like the example that you gave, something like that.
Definitely. So there's, I mean, one of the things I find very interesting, and this is when you compare two different stories. So, um, our mythology is one thing I want to say before I start the stories. I've never been very prescriptive. Maybe the scriptures have been prescriptive. Maybe like you will have the Upanishads or the Bible itself being prescriptive, but the myths by itself, the stories that we pass on, are just they're very descriptive in nature. They describe something that is happening in a society in a certain time, and when a person does that, yes, I mean there have been people who try to take a meaning out of it and they like this is what it was meant, but the reason is, and you'll see what it means. So if you think about loyalty, right? The idea of loyalty, okay, that is
Right.
something that is revered in our Indian culture. I mean, we think that the whole idea of bhakti and all was made, like we praise Hanuman basically because he was devotional. He was completely a devotee to Ram, right? And I think our
Right.
society
Right.
talk about that. Ram itself is a character who is worshipped because he was this obedient person who did the dharma. And dharma automatically started meaning that someone who complies with the traditional norms and follows the
Yeah.
tradition. He's keeper of the tradition rather than rebelling. Greek's version is very different, right? The ones who defy the gods are the heroes. Here it's the people who
Hmm.
can follow dharma, right? And the idea of
Right. Right.
someone following, like someone completely following, obediently, not questioning, was actually seen as something that is revered to the point of like this is they are gods in their own deity. That's why you have Hanuman, right? And I think what has
Right.
happened in the current thing is that you see a current political climate, right? I mean, if you see the current sort of a
Hmm.
thing, many times we have certain ideas, we have certain role models, we have certain ideologies. But what happens is we
Right.
get so stuck up on our ideology that we don't see the limitations of the ideology. We feel that the loyalty to our ideology, if we are, if we follow a leader, and if we show that we are follow
Hmm.
the leader no matter what, we are thinking of us as Hanuman. We think like we're being Hanuman, okay? But there's also another story in
Hmm.
the Mahabharata, which is about the Karna. This thing Karna himself is he's not a devotee, but he's almost like like an obedient friend of Duryodhan, right? And I mean in some ways we
Right.
see that as a tragic thing, and we always see that as a beautiful thing that whatever said and done, they were good friends and sort of a thing. But you also see that
Hmm.
where like him being a person who listened to Duryodhan because he felt that he owed him some sort of a thing. He had a certain the thing, and obviously
Hmm.
Duryodhan was maybe a genuine friend, but because of this
Uh-huh.
sense of friendship, this sort of a dynamics, the this thing, Karna always felt that he owed everything to his friend, even if he didn't think something was right. He decided to fight with his friend. He decided to not
Right.
speak up when the assault on Draupadi was happening.
Hmm.
And I think what happens out here is that he rationalized it in the stories itself. He rationalized it like he couldn't do anything because he owed his life to Duryodhan, right? And to be honest, if
Right.
you think about
Right.
it, many times it's a question we need to ask ourselves. Like when we are following someone and we know that people are having a backlash or people are saying that this is wrong and sort of a thing, you're following political
Yeah.
leaders, or you're following a certain ideology, or you're following a certain role model, or you're following a friend.
Right.
Even think about the thing. I would say that the whole bro culture, where like the during the Me Too movement, people tend to defend their friends
Hmm.
who have been accused of something. This comes from this
Right. Right.
that like,
Right.
oh, there's some sort of a morality of holding, being friends with someone, like taking their person's side no matter what, right? And our mythology is the thing, and I
Yeah.
think it's a question that we need to ask ourselves that are you actually being Hanuman in this situation, or are you being Duryodhan,
Hmm.
third, and more
Yeah.
importantly, like the person you're following, like are you, is he behaving like Ram? Because the thing also is that Ram was following Dharma, but Duryodhan wasn't following Dharma, and it's not like Karn didn't know it.
Right.
Karn just
Absolutely.
he valued loyalty more than he valued, like
Believe.
questioning the thing. He never even questioned it. Okay, that's a very important thing. And even in
Right.
Hanuman, by the way, there is a very important thing. There's a story where he goes back to Anjana, like his mother, and he tells her the whole
Hmm.
story of Ramayana. Okay, and his mother is confused.
Hmm.
Like wait. So if you went to Lanka, why didn't you just get this thing Sita back? You would have solved
Hmm.
that problem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was a little, like initially there was a little bit of a
Yeah.
sort of a thing because he was not expecting this question. He thought that his mother was going to talk about it, and he said, "No, this is a Ram story. I couldn't do this." And his mother just was dismissive about it. They're like, no, but you could have solved this problem a lot earlier than you would have done this, right? And
Right. Right.
the thing was, Hanuman, obviously, like, he believed that, because the Ram story and Ram had to do this, and obviously the connections of the mythical past of, like, backstories and all, he felt that,
Right.
even though he could have solved the problem, he did not want to
Uh-huh.
because it would change the narrative. does that
Hmm.
sometimes where sometimes we tend to follow someone because we think that that person has to be the one solving the problem, or we follow the
Right.
person even though we know better or we think we can do more, and our autonomy goes away. It gets erased when we um, we have blind loyalty, and I think mythologies have that,
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Wow, that's really, that's such a good example. I have to say this, the way you have talked about loyalty and how can sometimes, when you actually think about it, yes, it does make you think that who are you? If you are in that story, then who are you? And is that person Ram or is that person Duryodhan? So, wow, I am absolutely like floored. I have to say this, that you have given such a good example that, it will make a lot of like, and the way you said that, the way Hanuman said that he had to let it happen so that the narrative could go just the way it was supposed to. And I think in our personal lives also, we do that quite a lot of times, that sometimes even when we know that one of our friend is not doing the right thing, we just let them do it so that, they will see it, and yeah, that's the only way
Yeah.
they'll learn, and we let them do it. It
Yeah,
happens.
because
It
we
definitely
value
happens.
friendship more
Yeah,
than we value what is right. We don't even listen to ourselves at times because we think that we have kind
absolutely.
of romanticized the notion of friendship, loyalty, unconditional love to the point that we
Right.
when we know something is wrong, we can do it. And I think the part of the myths is that myths have given both the stories. They have stories of
Mhm.
both. It's not telling you that okay, that's the only thing. They're also telling you a tragic
Right.
story of things. Now the question is how you take it.
Right.
If you only listen to the Hanuman
Absolutely.
story, you will not look at Kern's story as a cautionary tale. So
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, thanks for sharing that, Anupriya. Is there any other story that you would want to share, or maybe because we still have to do that audio call where we have to talk about so many things. So, if there is some other example that you would like to give here, I would love to hear that. Otherwise, we can definitely take those up for our audio call. So, acha, so for
yeah,
our audience, I have to tell you
yeah,
this guy. So this is our first session, which is Instagram Live, and the second session is the audio call, which goes up as a podcast, and you can see it on YouTube or you can listen to it on Spotify, Google Podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud. It's basically everywhere. So yes,
yeah.
so there also, we are going to talk about these topics in much more depth. So yes, Anupriya, back to you.
No, so I think we can definitely detail out some of the ideas, but I think I'll leave the audience with a question. Like, as I asked the question of, are you a Kern or are you,
Absolutely.
and I think the other question I want to ask you is, are you Yashoda or are you Kans? Um, what are you in sort of a thing? And now, what do I mean by that? I think you can definitely tune into the podcast and figure out, what it means, like which character are you? So that, and I
Absolutely.
will
I think
also
that's
look
good
at some of the
chemistry.
mythologies. We'll also look at Norse mythology and other mythologies, what they teach us, because let's also be a little more global in our thinking at times. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, so I have to tell you this, when I was, going through all the topics and research and everything, I have to, for the audio call, I have to talk to you about Dr. Faustus as well. So be prepared.
Definitely, sure. Yeah.
I think, I would love to talk about that bit of literature and how it has somehow, taken things from the mythology itself, and somehow, I mean, I would love to talk to you about that topic on our audio session.
Sure, definitely. I'm looking forward for that.
All right. So taking up our next question. So, okay. So, Anupriya, could you maybe, just say some words to create awareness and to sort of, guide people how to connect our past with our present and our future? Because, the way you have given this example, I absolutely love it. So, could you give our listeners, our audience, a bit more on that note, that this is the way possibly you can find answers, or this is the way you can find the path, or basically I think you are the right person to take it ahead from here.
No, really, I think that's a good question. Look, I think if I have to distill certain words, I think one of the words is being inclusive. One of the things about mythology is that we tend to look at certain mythologies. Even in Hinduism, we look at Ramayana. We are only looking at Ramayana from the northeastern, this thing, western parts, where the story of we only know about the stories of the this thing Valmiki story and all. But we tend to not we tend to be a little dismissive of the other stories, or even if we know it, there is a sense of we think of like this is mainstream and that is not mainstream, right? Second of all, so
Right,
I think
right.
we need to account for the fact that there are multiple story versions and all. And yes, we can have a favorite. We can also have something that we enjoy. But it's a, if we are moving away from just listening and we want to engage with it, we want some meaning out of it, not just from an entertainment perspective, it's important to just acknowledge, even if you don't know the exact history, because obviously, I think there will be always people who will have, people much more, well versed in mythology and all. There are enough people online who can tell you the historicity of mythology. I'm also interested. I will definitely keep, giving these ideas, trivia facts and all. But I think from our side as listeners, we need to account for, the inclusiveness. We need to account for contradiction. We need to account for the fact that it's okay that, you have a story that goes against someone else's version. The other thing
Right, right, right.
the other thing I definitely feel that mythologies need to be, is that, inclusive. Saying it's not just good enough to make something inclusive in your idea. You have to also allow for empowerment. You have to ensure that, the stories itself. See, stories, when they're framed in certain way, there's always a conflict, and there's always someone who's going to be like demonized, who's going to be monsterified. Like we have this common tradition of looking at, when I say asura, you always think of them as like this dark old creature. Why
Yeah,
dark? This sort of a thing. Why do we have these certain racial connotations?
yeah,
It's come
yeah,
because of the
yeah.
way we engage with it. But what do we challenge it? Why can't why can't the stories also be in a different way? If you look at, like, Dalit literature, and a lot of the literature which is completely, reverting it. They are, they're completely opposing the Brahminical literature of, Vedas and sort of a thing. I personally believe both can coexist. One has been very
Mhm.
oppressive, trying to deny a story, but now is the time to
Okay.
bring other stories. Okay. The third point I want
Okay.
to say is that this is a time where myths should not be limited to reading and finding myths, but also creating myths. What is stopping you to create your own god? Why can't you just do that? I mean, just think about it. Like, if I just right now tell you, like, three gods, okay, and
Hmm.
if I say, the god, there's Narsimha, there is Shiva,
Hmm.
and there is Chakya, and you'll be like, who's
Hmm.
Chakya? And I'm like, oh, I just made that up. That's a
Hmm.
god of confusion. Why can't we do that? I've
Hmm.
had people who reacted in
Right.
a like, no, but that's not the thing. And the thing is, it never stopped the historians and the mythologists. It never stopped Homer to write this thing. It never stopped, Vyas or Nessing to create their own stories.
Yeah.
Why can't we start to do that? I think that is one of the things I think I want people to do that. And it's okay, create mythology, create, controversial ones. It's okay, because one of the things about
Yeah.
myths, unlike the other things, is that they allow that space. They allow for content. They allow for things which can be seem like, okay, this is not ethical. This is not a sort of a thing, because you can always create a counter narrative about it. Okay, the thing,
Right.
what will lead to this thing is that if you leave it out in the public, over time, with people who, you give people the choice to listen to the mythology, imbibe it, and believe in it if they want to. So I
Yeah.
definitely think
Yeah.
that is the thing
Completely.
I want to say.
Wow, I loved all of these points, and I have to say this that you have inspired me to create my own god now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Why not?
Hope you're
Like,
convinced about
why
it.
not?
Yeah. You may be a god.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe, yeah, maybe, you never know.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So, before I let you go, Anupriya, could you maybe tell us, are there any workshops that you conduct, or are there any sessions that you go ahead with where people can, absolutely listen to more of this amazing, awesome stuff?
So definitely, I would suggest that, just keep a lookout for mathematical. I'll be doing it every alternate week, sort of a thing. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing another live stream. Having said that, I'm also
Okay.
creating a lot of these. I'm working on creating workshops, a more intense workshop for 4 hours, where how do you retell your own myths? Like, if you are interested in telling the story of, so, I want to tell this particular story of Ramayana. I mean, there are certain things
Hmm.
that I can, from my experience, to help you make that, or create a new story altogether, create a new god, right? So I'm
Right.
planning to have these
Right.
sort of more intense workshops for any person who's interested in storytelling, any writer, or anyone who just wants to see what it takes to create a myth. So I'm going to do that. I'll be having these things up soon. And along for someone who, anyone who's very interested in mythology, not just from listening to stories, but wants to think about these, intellectual concepts, that, okay, what does it mean? Why is mythology always talked about this way? I'm going to be starting a
Mhm.
new series, mathematical metamorphoses. These are these food for thoughts which are going to be there for consumption if you want to take it and all. So I'm going to be working on the, this thing, and I'll be posting it. I'll be working in collaboration with the Cobalt Blue. That is one thing. I'm also going to be having more, snackable content in terms of this thing. Not just wait for these big sessions, but like, have these tidbits floating around.
Yeah.
And I think, I definitely think that, I have to thank lockdown for forcing me to like, do this sort of a thing. But once the lockdown gets over, I'm this thing, I would love to even do like, like one day, meetup sessions and all. One of the things I also have started, which happened 2 weeks back, was a mathematical meetup, which is an open discussion for people to come and talk about it. We spoke about what is a myth in the first session, everyone's perception, and
Oh,
there's
wow.
no right and wrong answer. You don't need to be an expert in myth. I mean, then again, who amongst is, apart from the gods themselves? So, like there's just everyone come in, and we're going to have more of these sessions. I'll try to keep them on a theme, a topic, and then have people debate, discuss. It's going to be a casual conversation and all. So I'm planning to do that every 1 month. So that is the
Okay.
thing. So mathematical meetup, mathematical metamorsel, and the live streams are definitely going to be there. And then obviously the workshops as and when the thing. But right now nothing is planned exactly for a particular date as such.
Absolutely. Okay, so before jumping to our last session, Anupriya, I have to ask you this one last question, which I am just a bit curious about. So, Anupriya, when you go to sleep, because there's so much going around, like so many things. So my first question is that, do you sleep easily? Like, is it easy for you to fall asleep? And my next question is, do you dream? Like, do you have dreams? And like have you had like some absolutely crazy dreams or something related to myths where maybe you change the plot a bit or something? Has that ever happened with you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, to answer your first question, okay, I'm a very poor sleeper. Okay, I'm borderline insomniac, which means that I
Okay.
only fall asleep when I'm really really tired. I've fallen asleep on this chair like many times after working and sort of a thing. And
Huh.
I'm a nocturnal creature. I will stay up all night.
Okay.
The only improvement I've done in the last few months is that nowadays I fall asleep reading a book than falling asleep watching a TV show, which is
Okay.
me because like instead of binge watching a season, I'm like reading
Yeah.
something and all, or listening to like this thing audio book and all. So I'm not a
Right.
very good. In fact, I mean, my family and other thing, they will always tell you like like my dad literally comes many times to my room whenever I've stayed back at home, and he's like abhi tak soyi nahi, and then suddenly sun rays are coming up and I have to pretend to sleep because like I can't look like this thing. So I'm a like sleep is a very this
Yeah.
thing. But in terms of the dream, I have vivid dreams. I mean, I have dreams which are like from nightmares to just amazing plot devices where I just wake up and I'm like, okay, I must note it down because I have to make a story about this.
Oh,
In terms
wow.
of dreams, definitely. I think I had dreams where like it was a very funny dream. I remember I had this dream where like all the the Indian gods were hunting me in a forest, and I'm like trying to run from them. And obviously, like they're gods, they're going to catch up with me, sort of a thing, which is just weird,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to one god that ki this thing, and I'm just trying to like reason my way out of it, So like when I meet Krishna and I'm like what this thing, and I don't know why they're hunting me. There's no rational behind it, There's sort of a thing, and and you have to imagine my gods in my dream were not like good looking. They were like these blue mongolite, the blue humanoid figures with 4 hands, woman, which is like having eyes. I mean, literal depictions of sort of a thing. Like suddenly I run and hide in a cave and I suddenly see a lion head with a man body just coming and screaming and this thing, and there's nothing.
Oh.
And I suddenly remembered like getting up and I'm like, oh my god, our gods are very scary looking. Like I just
Yeah.
these dreams a lot. Some of them are very interesting plot devices, and I'm like, okay, I must make a story about this. Um, yeah, and some of them are nice. I'm like, okay, what would happen if I talk to a god and I just have a nice philosophical debate and this
Yeah.
thing. Some of them like God is talking to me like when did I say any of these things? This is something you've assumed. This thing. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So,
That's quite amazing. So that's why, I was like, "Yaar, this guy has so much content within him." So I really wanted to ask this question कि सोते टाइम क्या चलता है basically?
yeah, I dream a lot. I don't have very peaceful sleep. And if I do,
Yeah.
I so like yeah.
Perfect. So, okay. So now I have to say this, that, this session was absolutely amazing. And now we are on our last section, so which is called word association, where I will say a word and you say whatever just comes to your head.
Sure. That sounds
Okay.
fun. Hmm.
All right. Life.
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 No, L-I-F-E or L-I-V-E?
L-I-F-E. F-E.
Life. Oh, okay. Resilient. Sorry. Yeah. So
So
I
your
said
next prompt. Perfect. All right. So your next prompt is sky.
sky.
Yeah.
Possibilities. Possibilities.
Nice. Fire.
Curiosity.
Your superhero.
Superhero, I would say, I think I'm a fan of Superman. Superman, definitely.
Okay.
It's my. Yeah.
All right. All right. Your favorite story.
Um,
Your absolute favorite story.
but it's changed over the years. I mean, I think that my favorite story right now may change this thing. That's okay, right? I mean, I can talk about what is favorite
Yeah,
right.
right now. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so currently my favorite story has been the story of the Gilgamesh, the flood of Gilgamesh, which is the Sumerian story where like the flood, the gods get angry with humans because they're just very angry that
Uh-huh.
humans have too much noise, and they just do a flood and they save one
Okay.
person. Similar, but I just love that story when I was like going through it nowadays, and I mean it's a new discovery for me because I hadn't read Sumerian mythology, so
Uh-huh.
that obviously, but all-time favorite I would always say my story. I think I love Mahabharata. Sorry, I love Ramayana a lot. I think Ramayana has a
Okay.
people think Ramayana is a very simple story, but it's not. It has a lot to unpack. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And your next question is, so if you could change one thing in one of the myths, what would that be? Like
That's a
one major plot.
that's a very interesting question. I think one of the biggest thing I would change in the story, I would change one thing in this thing. I would change in this thing maybe in what's it called Mahabharat. Uh,
Hmm.
I would definitely be very interested in a story where Krishna is taken out. Krishna is not there. Basically Krishna not taken
Yeah.
out, but Krishna has a limitation. Not
Yeah.
limitation self-imposed, but a limitation that like he cannot take part, or he cannot. He definitely has to, like, he cannot give advice, sort of a thing. Krishna has a sort of thing. Maybe it
Right.
could be,
Right.
it could be a curse, or it could just be that one of the things I like about the mythology is, like, when they come as human form, right? I would love to see that there are
Hmm.
limitations that these gods also go through, that is there, and what
Right.
would the story mean altogether. That is one. The other thing,
Hmm.
I would love to see the stories where, like, what if the main character, or the main this thing is that the women are the main characters, not side characters,
Hmm.
but the main characters,
Main
like,
characters. Yeah.
yeah, like
Absolutely.
what Ram gets kidnapped instead of this thing, and Sita has to find him. That would be more
Yeah.
interesting.
That would be interesting. Absolutely. All right. Okay. So your last prompt is, so what would you say as of, like, we are talking right now. So what would you say you are looking for?
Um, what am I looking for in this thing? I think I'm always looking for interesting, perspective and discussions. I'm very interested in having like these ones, like,
Okay.
definitely, like, I'm always looking for that, because I think, as I told you about the word myth, right? Myth survives when, like, people are disbelieving and discussing it. Otherwise, it dies with it. And as someone who likes mythology, I would love to have more discussions, more, more areas of, like, discussing, sharing, and receiving, like, the ideas of it, and this thing. So I mean, in a way, like, I would love mythological conversations. That's something I would love to have.
Perfect. 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 Wow, Anupriya, I have to say this, that, I absolutely loved every bit of this conversation, and I'm so looking forward to our audio session tomorrow, because I know that, in that conversation also I'm going to learn so much, because I've learned so much in this conversation. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. And I would like to thank you once again for agreeing to be a part of this. And you are doing a great job. I have to tell you this. And thank you. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of this.
Thank you, Shruti. I mean, I'm loving what you're also doing. Definitely, I'm so glad that you called me on the platform. Both got to know about this thing, and I'm also looking forward for more of these conversations and the guests you bring in, because the last few guests you've gotten are very very, very fantastic. So thank you for having me, and thanks for everyone tuning in. That was a very interesting session, and yeah, see you sometime soon.
All right. Okay, bye-bye. Thank
Thank
you. Good evening. Bye. All right, guys. I think we had an amazing session with Anupriya. I loved every bit of it. And so we are doing our audio session tomorrow. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to share them with me. And I will try to take those up with our, conversation that will be happening tomorrow. And you can listen to the podcast episodes on my YouTube channel, which goes by the name of Shruti Out Loud. You can check them out on Spotify. You can check them out on Google Podcast. And again, the same name, Shruti Out Loud. And my website is also almost it's almost up there and it's still not there. So it's going to be up there like very, very soon. So all of the updates are going to be there, and I'll be bringing more guests with more amazing stories. And yeah, so thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this. I'll see you guys next week with a new guest, with new stories, with new journeys, and a lot of new inspiration. So have a great weekend and take care, you all. And
thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe.